Tonight we're opening with a question Black America has been forced to ask for far too long. If voting rights in the Black community are being targeted, restricted, and diluted in plain sight, what actually works as a response? Because this isn't theory. This is happening right now, and the pattern is unmistakable. At the same time, Reuters and AP have reported expansions in state-level immigration enforcement, new voting restrictions, and labor policies that disproportionately affect both Black and brown workers. These policies are being implemented in the same states where the political shift is happening. That overlap is not incidental, it is structural. In Texas, new ID and mail ballot rules for the 2022-2024 election cycles saw tens of thousands of ballots rejected in major counties like Harris, Dallas, and Bexar, affecting Black and Latino voters hardest, tracked by the Brennan Center for Justice. And in Alabama, the Supreme Court allowed a congressional map to stand that multiple courts said diluted Black voting power. The ACLU Voting Rights Project has been monitoring that battle every step of the way. These aren't bureaucratic mistakes. These aren't isolated incidents. These are coordinated structural moves, refined, targeted, and aimed directly at shrinking Black political power while pretending the system is neutral. So as we start this conversation tonight, we come back to the question we opened with. If voting rights in the Black community are being targeted, restricted, and diluted in plain sight, what actually works as a response?
In 2026, the Supreme Court took another swing at the Voting Rights Act. Again, if something happens once, maybe it's a mistake. If it happens repeatedly across states, across years, that's policy. Courts have ruled on it. AP has reported on it. NPR has tracked it for years. And the moment that shield cracked, these red states ran through the opening like they've been waiting for the bat signal. Look at Alabama and Louisiana. From 2023 until 2026, they fought for new maps that courts had ruled diluted Black representation. Weakening protections our people bled for. You can read the blow-by-blow on SCOTUS blog and NBC News. They were determined to lock Black voters into political cages drawn with a marker and a laugh. Republican-controlled legislatures have been cutting early voting days, closing polling locations, restricting mail ballots. These changes don't fall on everybody. They fall on us, the shift workers, the caregivers, the people who can't take Tuesday off to stand in line for 4 hours. Time magazine has reported, if this continues, we are staring down the largest drop in Black political representation in a generation. Before any mass mobilization in Black history, there was a cultural awakening, a shift in narrative, a psychological refusal to accept the role given to us. That's why every era of Black political progress started with a shift in how our people saw themselves. Because once people believe their voice matters, they organize differently, show up differently. They stop accepting whatever access they're handed and start demanding what they're owed. And then the Supreme Court steps in and says, well, unless you can prove somebody meant to do that, we're not sure it's illegal. Oh, so now we're playing dumb professionally? This is a coordinated, modernized, data-driven attempt to shrink Black political power while pretending the system is fair. And if we don't call it what it is, we will never fight it for what it's become.
So let me make this plain. Nothing changes out there until something changes in here. And here's what that change looks like in the real world. In Clayton County, Georgia, a group of Black organizers ran candidates for the county election board, not Congress, not governor, the election board, and flipped the majority. Within 1 year, they restored early voting hours, reopened 2 polling locations, and stopped a precinct consolidation that would have cut Black turnout by thousands. That's not participation, that's permission. And permission is not power. We are entering a system that was already engineered before we arrived. The maps are drawn to contain us. The rules are written to exhaust us. The machinery is calibrated to outrun us. And then they tell us to participate, as if we are stepping into a fair fight instead of a fixed outcome. Because political power is machinery. Gears, levers, signatures, certifications. It is the cold arithmetic of who holds the pen and who holds the keys. And if we do not control the offices that count the votes, certify the rolls, draw the lines, and operate the system, then we do not possess the power, no matter how passionately we show up on election day. When we talk about voting rights, we rush to the symptoms, the maps, the courts, the closures, because that's the part they allow us to see. We keep talking about voting like it's a single moment, but the truth is, we are stepping into the political arena after the decisions have already been carved in stone, the maps are drawn, the rules are written, the machinery is running, and then, only then, are we told to participate.
Let me give it to you sugar bear straight. No chaser, no grease. Because I'm tired of hearing folks talk about voting like it's magic. Like you walk in, press a button, and democracy pop out like a damn Pop-Tart. Half of y'all showing up to vote like it counts the same way it used to. Like the rules ain't been rewritten while you was asleep.
We open tonight asking one thing. How do you fight a system that shrinks your power before you even show up? Sugar Bear showed what that looks like. People walking into elections already rigged against them. Queen pushed deeper, reminding us that without internal sovereignty, we're just performing participation. And Elder exposed the legal machinery tightening around all of it. Now we're going further. Stay with us.
Let's stop pretending this is new. Every generation in this country has watched the same pattern repeat itself. Whenever Black political power rises, the system responds. Voting dilution is not an accidental byproduct of policy. It has always been a deliberate tactic of suppression. It used to be a mob at the courthouse door, or it was a poll tax, a literacy test, or a shotgun pointed at a man walking to register. Today, the tactics wear suits and hide behind phrases like election integrity and the Save America Act. But the intention is the same: reduce the weight of the Black vote the moment Black voters become a threat. It is the modern version of the same old project: shrink the power of a people who are never meant to have any. Look at Alabama in 2023-2024. A federal court ruled the congressional map illegally diluted Black voting power and ordered a second majority Black district. The legislature responded by drawing a new map that still didn't create one. The court had to appoint a special master to force compliance. This was a deliberate attempt to limit Black representation, and they didn't bother to hide it. Here's what we need to confront. You cannot out-organize a system, and you cannot fight a structural attack with a defeated mind before any mass mobilization in Black history. There was a cultural awakening, a shift in narrative, a psychological refusal to accept the role given to us. That's why every era of Black political progress started with a shift in how our people saw themselves. Because once people believe their voice matters, they organize differently, show up differently. They stop accepting whatever access they're handed and start demanding what they're owed. And that's the danger right now. The slow, quiet belief creeping in that nothing can change. That's the real target, aimed at our spirit. It wants exhaustion. It wants resignation. It wants a community so worn down by the rules, the lines, the closures, the maps, the courts, that it begins to believe the lie that nothing can change. There are two fights ahead, one against the machinery designed to dilute us, and one designed to convince us we can't do anything about it. If we lose either one, we lose both.
Or look at the Black Cooperative Investment Fund in Los Angeles. Black people pooling their own money every month to fund Black businesses, build Black wealth, and break dependence on predatory systems. No permission, no gatekeepers, no begging for access. Just the community deciding it will finance its own future. These aren't hashtags. These are modern examples of exactly what I'm talking about. Communities building structures they need because the ones they were given were never designed for their survival. And that means building what our ancestors always built when the state failed them. Parallel, self-sufficient institutions, not symbolic ones, real ones. Schools that teach our children the truth instead of the sanitized version. Economic networks that create stability instead of dependence. Community structures that do not rely on the goodwill of people who benefit from our weakness, because a community that can feed itself, fund itself, and defend its dignity cannot be easily intimidated. And don't let anyone tell you this is theory. It's happening right now. Look at the Freedom Georgia Initiative. Black families buying land and building a self-sustaining community because they were done waiting for the state to protect them. They created their own food systems, their own safety structures, their own economic base. That is a parallel institution. That is self-determination in real time. You don't have to abandon the ballot while you build the alternative. You do both. You must. Because the only way to outmaneuver suppression is to out-organize it with turnout so massive and coordinated it overwhelms the system designed to shrink us. We must refuse to hand it the victory of our withdrawal, building our own institutions while flooding theirs with our presence. We stand in two worlds at once, the one we inherited and the one we are building. Political engagement is necessary, but it is not a fix. We have watched rights erode through courts, legislatures, and administrative tricks that never had to fire a shot. And if the day comes when the ballot box can no longer protect us, then we must be prepared to shift, not into violence, but into resistance, the kind that disrupts the machinery without destroying our humanity.
Sitting around waiting for federal courts to save us is a losing strategy. Look at the rulings. Look at who's sitting on those benches. If your whole plan is maybe the courts will fix it, you already lost. By the time a case even gets heard, the damage is done. The maps are drawn. The polling places are closed. The rolls are purged. The election is over. You showing up with a bucket after the house already burned to the ground. So we have to stop playing defense. We need to control the process before the damage is done. That means real local voter protection units. Not committees, not panels, not folks taking minutes in the church basement. I'm talking about people on the ground watching poll purges in real time. People who know when a polling place disappears before the county even posts a notice. People send alerts to the whole neighborhood the second something changes. I'm talking about people with vans, cars, scooters, whatever, ready to move bodies where they need to be. That's offense. That's how you fight back. Maps just don't happen to split our communities. Rules just don't happen to tighten in our neighborhoods. Ballots just don't happen to get rejected in counties where black turnout can flip the election. No, these moves are intentional, calculated, field tested. They are designed to shrink us while smiling in our faces like it's all good. So we flip the script. We stop waiting for the next blow and start catching the punch before it lands. You see a roll purge? Somebody's knocking on doors that night. You see a polling place close? The whole block knows before the sun comes up. You see our ballots getting rejected? We don't wait for a report. We pull up with lawyers, organizers, cameras, bodies, and receipts. We make it clear you will not erase us quietly. They counted on you being tired, distracted, busy, overwhelmed, alone. They want you showing up on election day not realizing the game was rigged 6 months earlier. So here's the move. We stop letting them operate in the dark. We stop letting them make changes at 2 a.m. and call it procedure. We stop letting them close polling places like they're rearranging furniture. We stop letting them purge voter rolls like they're cleaning out a closet. We put eyes on every inch of the process. And I'm not talking about monitoring. I'm talking about showing up. Showing up everywhere they don't want us to be. Because if the courts won't protect us, we protect ourselves. If the system won't play fair, we change our approach. If they're going to try to shrink our power, then we show up in numbers so big, so loud, so coordinated, that what they built to contain us starts breaking in the face of our presence. That's control. That's offense. That's how you fight people who think they can move the goalposts without anybody noticing.
Tonight's conversation makes one thing clear. Power is not a feeling, it's a function. And if we want different outcomes, we need different mechanics. The first move is protection. Every community needs local voter protection units watching registration roll purges and polling place closures in real time. You can connect with the work already happening through the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Second, we stop playing defense. We seize the gatekeeper roles, registrars of voters, county clerks, secretaries of state, the offices that decide who gets on the rolls and whose ballots get counted. The Brennan Center for Justice has the research and tools to map those positions and understand the machinery. And third, if the system still refuses to protect the vote, we build what the system can't touch. Independent economic and social institutions, credit unions, schools, community trusts, the infrastructure of real sovereignty. The ACLU Voting Rights Project tracks the legal landscape so we know exactly where the pressure points are. So here's the charge. Protect the vote. Control the machinery. Build the institutions. Because you don't wait for permission from a system built to exclude you. You build enough power that exclusion becomes impossible. Because you don't beg for a seat in a house built to exclude you. You build the power that forces the door open. Thanks for watching The Forum.